Muito bom dia a todos. Sejam bem-vindos ao segundo dia do OIDP. Para iniciar os trabalhos, abrimos a sessão do dia intitulada Ambientes, Cidades e os Desafios do Nosso Tempo. Para iniciarmos esta sessão, começo por chamar ao palco a moderadora, diretora do Jornal de Notícias, doutora Inês Cardoso. Como oradores da sessão, peço que se dirijam também ao palco Sabrina Fialho, do Instituto de Ciências Sociais da Universidade de Lisboa, Ahmet Pekyatirmaci, Presidente do Município de Selçuklu, e o seu tradutor, por favor. Oliver Peña, terceira tenência da Presidência da Câmara do Município de Esplugues de Llobregat, Isabella Rusconi, Dinâmia 7, Centro para o Estudo da Mudança Socioeconómica e do Território, Institut, Lisboa, e Lyndsay Gavin, gestora de inovação na cidade de Durham. Dou uso da palavra então a Inês. Obrigada e até já.
Obrigada. Um bom dia a todos neste segundo dia de trabalhos e começo por agradecer à organização o prazer de poder partilhar um pouco desta reflexão em tempos desafiantes que vivemos sobre a forma como, de facto, novas formas de participação podem ajudar a combater os populismos e neste painel, de forma muito particular, vamos focar o tema do ambiente e como através de desafios de maior participação na resposta aos desafios climáticos podemos também simultaneamente construir cidades mais participativas, mais democráticas e no fundo com novas respostas para os desafios dos nossos tempos. Começo por apresentar a professora Sabrina Fialho. Peço desculpa às vezes por algum excesso de informalidade que é uma marca no jornalismo, mas que vai começar precisamente com uma dinâmica também participativa. Passo-lhe desde já a palavra para nos falar um pouco sobre a necessidade de uma maior participação dos jovens no desenho de respostas aos desafios ambientais.
Good morning. A lot of energy to start the day with, so thank you for having me here. I'm going to speak about the role of children and young people in Portugal in the design of public policies related to the climate. So I'd like to start with a quick poll. So there were some QR codes that have been circulating a little bit earlier, so I will move on to the next slide just to give you some instructions. So either you have a piece of paper with the QR code which you can scan to join the poll, or you can just browse and type menti.com and add the code which is showing on screen right there, 451905554, which is also showing on the piece of paper at the back side if you have it in your hands. This is a very simple, open-ended question. Very simple, and you should provide a very short answer, which may not be easy, but I'd like you to give free way to your imagination. If you had a magic wand or superpowers, what would you do? So if you had an unlimited amount of power, what would you do? What would you prioritize? What is top of mind for you right now? And I'll give you few seconds to reply. Unfortunately, I won't be able to show the responses on screen live for logistical reasons, but I will be reading your responses as they come through. So, first response, make all garbage disappear. Solve climate change. Knowledge to everyone. Eliminate hunger. Eliminate racism and inequality. Resolve poverty issue in the world. Create world peace. Stop all wars. World peace. Let's see if there are some more coming through. Yes. Free and efficient public transport. Very interesting. A lot of very, very positive and good, well-intentioned vibes this morning. So I give you some more time. Feel free to also participate if you want, everyone on stage. So, some more responses. Paz mundial e necessidades básicas cubiertas. So, world peace again and basic necessities all being addressed. Free and efficient public transport again. Thank you very much for your responses. So that, you're probably wondering why I asked you the question in the first place. Well, I will let you know. I'm here today to present a piece of research that I've been working on for the past year. And essentially, I asked one question, the same exact question that you just answered, to children in Portuguese schools across the country, in mainland and islands. So let's talk about this. Why does it matter? Well, it matters because we've been talking about climate change for over 50 years. And it's been over 50 years of conferences, and we haven't been very successful at reducing greenhouse gas emissions at global scale. And children will be very heavily impacted by climate change. They will be forced to adapt to a less habitable environment. And as you can imagine, they will suffer the consequences of the lack of climate action for the past decades. They are worried. They are worried. And currently, they are not able to participate in the design of public policies related to the climate. They can vote from the age of 18, but what happens before 18? Can they participate? Can they have a say? Can they be heard? Well, no, not at the moment. Their role in the design of public policies related to climate change is either non-existent or very limited, or there are some initiatives going on, usually ad hoc initiatives, but they are just demonstrations of tokenism. And it is important that we actually take the time to hear them. So children are concerned, and I'll give you a few examples in Portugal. In 2017, children who were impacted by the wildfires of Pedrógão decided to take governments to the European Court of Human Rights, Portuguese children. This is just one example. Another example, we have a lot of young climate activists that are doing acts of civil disobedience and risking penalties, lawsuits for being involved in acts of civil disobedience. In Portugal, they have been doing school strikes, blocking roads, throwing paint at the Prime Minister. And then we also have groups of NGOs, some of them are led by very young people, the case of Último Recurso, as an example, who are taking the Portuguese government to court for its lack of climate action and for not implementing our climate law, which has been passed in 2021. So, just a few and clear testimonies of the fact that children and young people are worried, they want to act, they want to do something, but they are unable to do it because there are no democratic mechanisms that allow them to be part of the design of public policies related to the climate. So when I asked the question to children last year, if you had a magic wand or superpowers, what would you do? There were 23 schools that participated in this research, out of which 11 schools classified as type. Type means priority intervention territory. So basically, territories where we have identified a larger number of children in vulnerable positions, coming from more disadvantaged communities or minorities. So I was able to actually ask children what they could do if they had superpowers, and a lot of children will usually feel that they don't have any power at all, that no one wants to hear them. Very important, I was trying to have a more representative sample. It's not entirely representative, but I was able to have some schools from Madeira and Azores as well participating from north to south. About 50% of the responses came through online questionnaire. I didn't fly to Madeira or Azores. And the other half was part of classroom activities, some of them led by myself. So here you can see how it was split in terms of regions of the country and then in terms of age range. So the children had between 9-year-old and 19-year-old. And interestingly, the very first topic that came through is just pure altruism. Very similar to the responses that you gave me earlier when I launched the poll. Children, 28% of the children just want this place to be a better place. Just want this world to be better. Human to be more human to each other, helping each other. So it was very, very interesting to see as the responses kept on coming through. And then the second finding is that 25% of the responses were references to the environment. So the second hottest topic for children are environmental concerns. But then, let's have a look. The hottest topic, if we look in more details about the environmental responses that came through, and I had 1,372 responses and around 330-something responses related to the environment. The hottest topic was pollution, followed by climate change, then followed by plastic waste and recycling. Now, and this is probably the major call out, I would like you to leave this room today when I finish my presentation, which is when I looked at environmental responses, there was a higher percentage of responses related to the environment from students coming from private schools when compared to students coming from public schools. Students from public schools, and especially the ones classified as type, were more worried about their security and prosperity. So if we want to build a sustainable society, we won't be able to do that if we don't provide the very basic foundation that any child needs to be successful in life, and that is security and prosperity. And only then they can worry about climate change, sustainable development, and everything else. So these are a few sentences that came through from children. Obviously, I won't be showing all of them because there were a lot, but I'll just read a few. So for example, I would transform everything in nature, or I would make it rain more so that the dams would be filled with water and there would be less wildfires. It was interesting to see that actually the youngest children from the age of 9-10 were the most concerned about the environment, whilst the oldest, who were 17 and 18, were the least concerned about the environment. The oldest were more concerned about the job, probably, about the job market, about, their career or something like that. A very well-formed notion of social justice came through. Children from the age of 9, 10, 11 were talking about inequalities, poverty, hunger. So a few more sentences from the north, from Alentejo. I would make dead trees come back to life and everyone would have electric cars to reduce the amount of pollution. Or someone in Madeira, 11-year-old, who said I wouldn't build more buildings, or I would build more new houses to avoid pollution and people would restore the old houses. So if, as a note to close my presentation, there are a lot of inspiring programs happening in Portugal, allowing children to participate in democratic demonstrations and understand how politics work in Portugal and also related to the environment. But if I had to pick just one of them to highlight today, it would be the Eco Parliament in Guimarães. The Eco Parliament has been on for nearly 10 years now, and it's been happening only in the city of Guimarães, but from what I know, it's now going to be done in the entire region of Minho, as it's been very successful. In this initiative, which has been voted by UNICEF as a best practice, children get to be in the shoes of a parliamentary representative throughout the school year. And then they come up with solutions for environmental and social issues in their local community. They partner with school staff, teachers, private businesses and other entities in the municipality to address actual issues, come up with solutions and then implement it So they are part of the action. They're not only deciding what matters, they are deciding how they're going to address it, and they are actually participating in implementing the solution itself, working with several stakeholders in the community. So that's a very good example, and if you haven't heard of it before, I'll definitely recommend that you have a look at the Eco Parliament in Guimarães. So that's it from me today. Thank you very much, and I'm available for questions later if you are interested. Thank you.
Agradeço a participação e, de facto, os mais jovens focados no tema do ambiente, nomeadamente pela via judicial, embora sem conseguirem integralmente, no caso de Portugal, respostas por essa via, mas havendo já precedentes em relação a ações ambientais noutros países europeus, vai ser com certeza um tema que vai continuar a mobilizar civicamente os mais jovens. Vamos agora conhecer a experiência com vista ao desperdício zero no município de Selçuklu, na Turquia. Chamo para a intervenção Ahmet Pekyatirmaci. Peço desculpa pela minha dificuldade com o nome, mas de facto é uma experiência que vem sendo conduzida há mais de uma década com vista à redução do desperdício. Peço então para partilhar connosco a intervenção.
Evet, öncelikle Valongo'da bizleri ağırladığı için belediye başkanımıza ve ekibine teşekkür ediyorum. Türkiye'den Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi, büyük filozof Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi'nin şehri Konya'dan ve Selçuklu'dan Portekiz'e selamlar getirdiğimi ifade etmek istiyorum.
Good morning. First of all, we thank you to dear Mayor and dear Moderator to invite us in here in Valongo to share our experiences. We are from Konya, the place where the great philosopher and humanitarian, the Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi, and we bring his passion and his understanding about nature in here with us.
Pek çok uluslararası toplantıya katılıyorum ve görüyorum ki artık çevre konuları ve geri dönüşümle ilgili konular bütün dünyanın gündemini oluşturuyor ve bu beni ziyadesiyle memnun ediyor.
We always try to participate any kind of international meeting. And we are pleased to see now for last couple of years the environment and the waste problems are always hot topic and we are very pleased to see that.
Biz de Selçuklu Belediyesi olarak Birleşmiş Milletler'in sürdürülebilir kalkınma hedefleri doğrultusunda özellikle iklim değişikliğiyle mücadele noktasında çok önemli çalışmalar yürütüyoruz.
As Selçuklu Municipality, we are running a lot of projects in cope with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals to fight against climate change and pollution.
Türkiye'de Cumhurbaşkanımız Recep Tayyip Erdoğan'ın eşi Emine Erdoğan hanımefendinin öncülüğünde başlatılan sıfır atık programları bizim bu çalışmalarımızda bize çok önemli katkılar sunuyor.
In Turkey, our First Lady Emine Erdoğan leads the all zero waste program, and we are collaborate with according to those programs.
Az önce konuşmacının ifade ettiği çocuklarla yapılan ankette ortaya çıkan çevreyle ilgili farkındalık bilinci bizim şehrimizde de tüm toplumumuzda mevcut durumda.
As we see your last presentation, the participating of children and their awareness about all climate change and pollution show us even the children are now care about this kind of matters. It is also at the same in our city Konya.
Şehrimizde düzenli anketler yapıyoruz ve bu yaptığımız anketlerde görüyoruz ki birinci öncelikli sorun olarak çevre ile ilgili konular gündem ediliyor.
We also always run pools in our citizens, and the environment issue always at the top 2 or 3 all the time.
Bu durum bizim de çevreye daha çok yoğunlaşmamızı gerekli hale getiriyor.
And this forces us to focus on environment issues more than ever.
Fazla zamanınızı almadan hızlıca çevreyle ilgili, sıfır atık uygulamaları ile ilgili yaptığımız uygulama örneklerinden hızlıca bahsetmek istiyorum.
Without further ado, let's talk about our environment and zero waste projects.
Selçuklu Belediyesi olarak 2020 yılında belediyemiz bünyesinde çevreyle ilgili konularda daha kurumsal bir çalışmayı yürütebilmek için Sıfır Atık Müdürlüğümüzü kurduk. Aynı zamanda Sıfır Atık Müdürlüğü ile birlikte Sıfır Atık Meclisi'ni ve gönüllülerden oluşan Sıfır Atık platformunu da oluşturduk.
In 2020, we established a directorate for only focusing zero waste and climate change, along with the zero waste platform with participants, volunteer participants among citizens.
Atık ambalajların toplanması kapsamında kaynağında ayrı toplanması ve atık pillerin de ayrıştırılarak toplanması, atık elektrikli ve elektronik eşyaların ayrıştırılması, tekstil ve giysi atıklarının ayrıştırılması ve atık ilaçların ayrıştırılarak toplanması ile ilgili önemli çalışmalar gerçekleştirdik ve bu kapsamda organik atıkların kompost ile gübreye dönüştürülmesi çalışmalarımız da devam etmekte.
In addition to separate collection of packaging waste at source within the scope of zero waste practices in our district, we continue to collect waste batteries, electrical components, textile, clothing waste, and medicine and composting.
İlçemizde oluşan ambalaj atıklarının kaynağında ayrı toplama çalışmaları kapsamında 10 adet atık toplama aracı 24 personel ile çalışmaları sürdürmekteyiz.
Within the scope of separate collection at the source of packaging waste, 10 waste collection vehicles and 24 personnel continue to work in our district.
Sıfır atık uygulaması ile 542 adet sıfır atık toplama noktası sitelerde oluşturuldu. Ayrıca satış noktalarına, otellere, kurumlara 947 adet sıfır atık toplama kafesi yerleştirildi.
With the zero waste implementation, 542 zero waste collection points have been established in the residential areas. In addition, 950 zero waste collection cages were placed in the sales points, hotels and any kind of institutions.
İlçemizde atık piller 2010 yılından bu yana kaynağında ayrı toplanmaktadır. Kurumlara, iş yerlerine, muhtar ofislerine, satış noktalarına, siteleri ve benzeri yerlere atık pil kutuları bırakılmaktadır.
Waste batteries have been collected separately at the source in our district since 2010. Waste battery boxes are left in institutions, workplaces, sales points, sites, etc.
Yine atık elektrikli ve elektronik eşya toplanmasına 2013 yılında başlanmıştır. Belediyemize gelen talep doğrultusunda vatandaştan elektronik atıklar alınarak Selçuklu 1. sınıf atık getirme merkezimizde depolanarak geri dönüşümü ve bertarafı için ilgili firmalara gönderilmektedir.
The collection of waste of electrical components started in 2013. In line with the demand received by our municipality, electronic waste are collected from citizens and stored in our Selçuklu First Class Waste Collection Center and sent to the relevant companies for recycling and disposal.
Yine tekstil ve medikal atıkların toplanması için 612 adet tekstil giysi kumbarası cadde ve sokaklara, alışveriş merkezlerine ve sitelere yerleştirilerek tekstil atıklarının kaynağında ayrı olarak toplanması çalışmalarımız devam etmektedir.
And also more than 600 textile cloth bins are placed on streets, shopping malls and housing estates to collect textile waste separately at the source. The collected textile wastes can be utilized, are cleaned and reused.
Bu arada toplanan tekstil giysi atıklarının değerlendirilebilir durumda olanlarının temizliği yapılıp tekrar kullanılmada sunulabilmekte.
We also clean up the reusable textile wastes and return to the people for reuse it.
Yine yönetmelik kapsamında ilçemizde 47 noktada toplam 57 adet atık ilaç toplama kutusu ile çalışmalarımızı başlatmıştık. Ayrıca Selçuklu Atık Getirme Merkezi'nde de atık ilaç toplama kutularımız bulunmakta olup evsel atıklardan da ayrı olarak toplanmaktadır.
Within the scope of zero waste regulation, our work has started with a total of 57 waste medicine collection boxes at the several points in our district. We also have waste medicine collection boxes in Selçuklu Waste Collection Center and they are collected separately from the domestic waste.
Yine ilçemizde 16 adet mobil atık getirme merkezi yerleştirilmiş olup atıklar buralarda da vatandaşlarımız tarafından kaynağında ayrı olarak toplanmakta ve bu merkezlere getirilmektedir.
Also, there are 60 mobile waste collection centers in our district and waste are collected separately at the source from our citizens.
Yine sıfır atık kapsamında yaptığımız çalışmalardan bir tanesi kompost üretimi, kompost yöntemiyle gübre üretimi. İlçemizde sıfır atık çalışmaları kapsamında belediyemizin park bahçe müdürlükleri tarafından ortaya çıkan çim, ağaç yongası ve semt pazarları, marketler, meyve sebze halinden toplanan meyve sebze atıkları gibi organik atıklardan kompost yapılmaktadır.
And also another our project is compost. It's plant-based fertilizers. Within the scope of zero waste activities in our district, compost is made of from grass, wood chips and fruit and vegetable waste collected from neighborhood markets, fruit and vegetable markets. Within the scope of 2022 and 2023, 1,800 tons of grass, 2,400 tons of wood chips and 2,200 tons of fruit and vegetable waste collected from neighborhood markets and were used in composting works and total 4,000 tons of compost produced were obtained.
Yine atık kumbaram projesi çerçevesinde çevre sıfır atık konularında kamu farkındalığının artırılması, sosyal sorumluluk projelerine katılımın sağlanması, Selçuklu halkının ev ekonomisine katkı sağlanması amaçlanmaktadır. Bu amaç doğrultusunda vatandaşlarımızın evinde oluşan kağıt, karton, plastik, cam ve metal atıkları kaynağında ayrı toplanarak atık kumbaram noktalarına getirilir ve görevliler tarafından atık türüne göre tartılarak alınmaktadır. Atık ücretleri atık kumbaram kartlarına yüklenerek vatandaşlarımız atık kumbaram kartlarında biriken Türk liralarını anlaşmalı marketlerde veya üye işyerlerinde harcayabilmektedir.
And also with my Waste Bank project, we are aimed to increase public awareness on the environment and zero waste project, to ensure participating in social responsibility projects and to contribute to the home economy of the people of Selçuklu. For this purpose, paper, cardboard, plastic, glass and metal waste generated in the homes of citizens are collected separately at the source and brought to the waste bank points and weighed and collected by the staff according to the type of waste. Waste fees are charged to the waste bank cards and our citizens can spend the accumulated money in their waste cards at contracted markets and member businesses.
Yine bu konuda önemli eğitim faaliyetleri yürütüyoruz. Konutlarda kapıda yüz yüze eğitim çalışmalarımız yapılmakta olup vatandaşa eğitim yapıldığı bölgeye göre poşet ve broşür dağıtılmaktadır. Yıllık olarak yaklaşık 60.000 konuta bilinçlendirme ve eğitim çalışmaları yürütülmeye devam etmektedir.
And also in educational practices, face-to-face training activities are carried out at the door of houses and brochures are distributed to the citizens according to the region where the training is held. Awareness raising activities are carried out in approximately 60,000 houses annually.
En son yaptığımız uygulamalardan bir tanesi Selçuklu ikinci el pazarı uygulaması. Doğayı korumak, israfı önlemek, evlerde ihtiyaç fazlası olan eşyaların yeniden kullanılmasını sağlamak ve aile bütçesine katkıda bulunmak amacıyla Selçuklu ikinci el pazarı açılmıştır. Pazarda satış yapmak isteyen vatandaşlarımız dilekçeyle başvurarak ücretsiz olarak stand sahibi olabilmekte. İkinci el pazarı İlk olarak 2023 yılında 205 stand ile başlamış olup ikinci el pazarında stand sayımız 486'ya ulaşmıştır. Burada hem vatandaşlarımız evlerinde bulunan ikinci el ürünleri ekonomik olarak değerlendirmiş oluyorlar, hem de sıfır ürün satın alma imkanı olmayan vatandaşlarımız da temiz ürünlere uygun fiyata buradan sahip olmuş oluyorlar.
And also one of our recent project is Selçuklu second-hand market. It was opened in order to protect nature, prevent waste, ensure the reuse of surplus items in homes and contribute to the family budget. Our students who want to sell in the market can have a stand free of charge by applying with a petition to the municipality.
Yine
Second-hand market first started in 2023 with 200 booths, and the number of booths reached 486 in the last second-hand market.
bu kapsamda yaptığımız çalışmaların neticesinde Türkiye Sağlıklı Kentler Birliği tarafından düzenlenen 2023 Sağlıklı Şehirler En İyi Uygulama Yarışması'nda kompost çalışması projemiz sürdürülebilirlik özel kategori ödülünü almaya hak kazanmıştır. Yine Atık Kumbaran projemizde Çevre Şehircilik ve İklim Değişikliği Bakanlığı tarafından 23 Aralık 2022 tarihinde iklim ve gençlik temasıyla düzenlenen 3. Sıfır Atık Zirvesi'nde yerel yönetimler en iyi uygulama ödülüne layık görülmüştür.
In the 2023 Healthy Cities Best Practice Competition organized by the Union of Healthy Cities, our composting project was awarded the Sustainability Special Category Award, and also our Waste Bank project was deemed worthy of the Best Practice Award for local governments at the third Zero Waste Summit organized by the Ministry of Environment, Urbanization and Climate Change on the 2022 with the theme of Climate and Youth.
Tabloda görüldüğü gibi artık toplanan atıkların %15'e yakın kısmı dönüştürülebilir geri dönüşüm atıklarından oluşmaktadır.
As you can see in the table, 15% of all waste are reusable, of all amount of collected waste.
Atıkların geri dönüşümüyle birlikte yenilenebilir enerji kaynaklarının kullanılması noktasında da önemli çalışmalar yürütüyoruz. Bu kapsamda ana hizmet binamız Konya Tropikal Kelebek Bahçesi, Bağırkurt Mahallesi'nde oluşturduğumuz 3.6 megawattlık GES projelerimizle birlikte bu santrallerden 6.560.000 kilowatt saat güneş enerjisi üretilerek belediyemizin tüm tesislerine ihtiyacı olan elektriğin %88'i yenilenebilir enerji kaynaklarından karşılanmaktadır. Böylece yaşanabilir çevresel ortamların sürdürülebilirliği ile bölgenin refah seviyesinin artırılmasına katkı sağlanmıştır. Üretilen elektriğin yanında yıllık 85.600 ağacın kesilmesi ve 4.534 ton karbon salınımı da engellenmiştir.
Along with our recycling projects, we also focus on the renewable energy. Selçuklu Municipality, within the scope of renewable energy, we have solar power plants with a total installed power of 4,000 kilowatt hour energy in the main service building of our municipality, Konya Butterfly Garden, and a lot of neighborhoods. From these power plants, 6,560,000 kilowatt hours of solar energy is produced, and 88% of all electricity needed by the facilities of our municipality is met from here. Thus, we have contributed to increase the welfare level of the region with sustainability of livable environmental problems. In addition to the electricity generated, 85,000 trees were cut down and 4,534 tons of carbon emissions were prevented annually.
Bizim en önemli varlığımız üzerinde yaşadığımız dünya. Dünyayı korumak, dünyayı daha yaşanabilir bir noktaya getirmek hepimizin görevi. Bunun farkındayız, bilincindeyiz ve bütün dünyada da görüyorum ki yerel yönetimler anlamında bu konuda çok önemli çalışmalar yürütülüyor. Biz de Konya'mızda, Türkiye'de bu çalışmalara katkı sağlamaktan dolayı çok mutluyuz. Ama daha çok yapacağımız iş var, yürüyeceğimiz çok yol var. O yüzden ben iklim değişikliğiyle mücadele gündeminin her zaman öncelikli gündemimiz olması gerektiğini düşünüyorum.
The most valuable and the most important asset is the world we live in. And we are aware that the climate change and the pollution is the most important topic because We have to inherit this world to our new generations. In all platforms, we always try to speak for the changes, but we have a lot of work to road.
Tekrar bu organizasyonda ev sahipliği yapan Valongo Belediye Başkanımıza ve ekibine teşekkür ediyorum. Tüm katılımcılara saygılarımı, hürmetlerimi sunuyorum. Hepinize hayırlı günler diliyorum.
With all respect, we thank you once again. We thank to the Valongo mayor and his team, and thank you very much invited us here.
Agradeço a partilha e os resultados que permitem medir o trabalho que tem vindo a ser desenvolvido. Uma nota apenas que não dei no início, não está presente por um imprevisto o representante do município de Cocody, na Costa do Marfim, que trazia uma experiência de promoção de cooperativismo entre as mulheres na produção e comercialização de mandioca. Passamos agora para Oliver Estévez, que vem da Catalunha e que nos apresenta um projeto que recorre nomeadamente à realidade virtual nos transporta para 2030 para conseguirmos perspectivar o que as nossas ações podem impactar ao nível do ambiente. Eu peço também nas intervenções que tentemos não ir além dos 10 minutos para ver se conseguiremos no final ainda ter um curto período para perguntas. Obrigada.
Dear colleagues, dear participants of this roundtable, I want to thank you all for this event, this Congress that we are attending today, yesterday, tomorrow, because it's very important for all of us to participate in this kind of democratic environment. It's an honor to be here representing Esplugues de Llobregat, my city, and to share some of the most significant advances of our city that our city has achieved in the areas of citizen participation, sustainability, and democratic innovation. In this context, I would like to briefly discuss how Esplugues is aligned its efforts with the 2030 urban agenda and how we are addressing new challenges through the use of emerging technologies to raise awareness among our population. One of the pillars of our governance model is citizen participation. Over the past few years, Esplugues has successfully implemented various participatory processes and bodies. Some of them are participatory budgets. It's an initiative that allows citizens to decide how part of the local resources are invested in municipal projects. Actually, next year, we're going to do the 11th edition of these participatory budgets. Youth Audience. It's an initiative that gives young people the opportunity to discuss issues and propose actions to address them, both their educational center and the city council. Children's Council and Forum. It's a process with a 14-year history that provide opportunities for children to learn how to participate in their city policies. And let me mention here how important was and how inspiring was the intervention of our colleague Sabrina when she explained the importance of the children with this particular topic, the climate change, right? Also, the mayor mentioned about it, because one of the questions that we have to ask is how do we bring this topic, this issue, to the homes, to our homes? And let me tell you something. I've been a father recently. My girl is 9 months right now, and I want to be able to give her a better world, like all of us here. And when I speak with children, even though they live sometimes in that magical world of fantasy, they're also concerned about what's going on in their spaces, in their public spaces. So that's why we have to take care of what they say and what they tell us when we are at home. And that's exactly one of the ways that we can make a participatory project work. Because sometimes we are not able to see everything that's going on around us. So that's why we need also the point of view of those who are living in a different point of view, the things that we see, right? So that's why I thought it was important to make that point when you make that presentation, because if for them it's the second most important topic, that means that for us it has to be also the second or the first, right? Another example is City Council. This is the broadest consultative body of participation and deliberation on issues that affect the overall city, with special relevance to strategic planning. So what we do basically is we give the opportunity to entities and citizens to participate in decisions of the city, and we talked about everything with one direction, that it's addressed on topics that matter to the City Council. It has been reactivated after COVID, and during this year, it's going to be also activated. These different participatory projects have not only strengthened social cohesion, but also fostered sense of belonging and empowerment among citizens. In Esplugues, we believe that citizen participation is key to advancing towards a more inclusive, sustainable, and resilient city, aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals of the 2030 Agenda. Each of our projects seeks to integrate these goals. These goals that, as you know, it seems that are global goals, but in fact, they are local goals because they're actually, goals for everyone. But we in the local community are the ones who have to make possible to put these global goals on the ground and make it more practical. And that's why each of these projects that we develop in Esplugues integrate these goals, from fighting climate change to reducing inequalities. And in this context, in 2023, we carried out an awareness project on the SDGs called Mission SDG. This innovative project aimed to raise public awareness using technological tools, such as gamification and virtual reality. Following that initial experience, we decided to continue developing other innovative projects like Mission Energy. But let me stop for a second and explain that virtual reality and gamification project that we developed. So what we did basically was through an application and code QRL codes, we put some codes through the city, and people were able to participate on a game that had the goal to explain every single sustainable development. Just lost track of what I was saying. Of the Sustainable Development Goals. So basically, you were walking around Esplugues, and you had a lot of stickers with different colors. Every color was addressed to a different goal. And you take a picture of that code, and you were able to participate in a game of 10 to 5 minutes. And over that game, you were able to understand one of the goals. Through that process, we made you were able to make points. So every single person that achieved one number of points was able to receive a prize. And through that way, we involved not only children, because as you know, normally children love video games, but also adults. I gotta say that I love video games as well. But it was a way for families to bring the topic home and understand what was that all about, right? Because when we noticed that people didn't understand what was the Sustainable Development Goals, we thought that we had a problem. The first problem was communication and how to communicate that. So we thought that maybe a good idea was through gamification. As I said, after that project, we developed other innovative projects such as Mission Energy. Through immersive experiences, we have successfully engaged citizens actively and meaningfully in raising awareness about the importance of preserving the environment and the responsible use of energy. We believe these innovative digital tools can reach new audiences and foster long-term sustainable behavior change. One of the greatest challenges of our era is climate change, and Esplugues is not immune to its effects. To address this challenge, we created Esplugues Energy, a service aimed at promoting energy efficiency and the use of the renewable energy among our citizens. Its main mission is to advise local residents and businesses on how to reduce energy consumption and CO2 emissions, thereby contributing to environmental sustainability. Additionally, we have begun adapting our infrastructure and local policies in line with the Esplugues Urban Agenda 2030, which was approved in 2024. Let me mention here to the Mayor the example that it is, the fact that he had been able to develop all this sustainable energy through solar panels in the municipal buildings. That is one of the things that we also want to put on our agenda and develop. Because I think that that's a good practice, and that's what I want to say. These efforts wouldn't be possible without the active collaboration of our citizens, who, alongside all sectors of society, are involved in participatory projects and spaces to design a city more resilient to the impacts of climate change and to transform our city into a greener and more sustainable environment. In summary, Esplugues de Llobregat is a living example on how a city can move towards a more sustainable and inclusive future through citizen participation. The use of emerging technologies and leadership in democratic innovation is one of the things that we have to put on our agendas in order to make that happen. We firmly believe that cities are engines of change, and we are committed to continuing to lead projects and empower our citizens and ensure a better future for all. Thank you all for your attention.
Agradeço a forma como partilhou connosco e, de facto, se nas cidades tivéssemos todas possibilidades de jogar com o ambiente, provavelmente de uma forma muito atrativa e simples, estaríamos mais despertos para alguns destes temas. Convido agora a Isabella Rusconi para fazer a sua apresentação, que no fundo nos vai trazer uma grelha de apoio a melhores decisões relativamente a políticas públicas que permitam planear melhor as cidades e o futuro.
Bom dia a todos. Obrigada à organização, ao município de Valongo, a toda a equipa, a Cláudia. É um prazer estar aqui. Obrigada à assistência, aos colegas de painel. Eu vou apresentar aqui hoje um trabalho que está sendo desenvolvido no âmbito do meu doutoramento, que é um quadro de referência de escolhas para o desenho de inovações democráticas, que eu chamei de Democracy Radar. Bom, nós todos estamos aqui hoje. Eu queria agradecer ao Oliver, porque o Oliver praticamente fez toda a minha introdução já. Eu podia saltar uns 3, 4 minutos. Mas, enfim, nós todos estamos aqui hoje porque a gente tem consciência do papel que as cidades desempenham no enfrentamento de todas essas crises sobrepostas e nesse contexto de incerteza. Também temos consciência da necessidade de trazer as pessoas para o centro da disputa política, das decisões políticas sobre as cidades enquanto elas estão passando por essas transformações rápidas e intensas. Então, é necessário incorporar o direito à cidade no campo dos direitos humanos. E, apesar do discurso da participação estar presente em todas as agendas, políticas, há uma enorme lacuna ainda entre a retórica, entre o que é dito e a realidade, entre o que é aplicado na prática, né? Ao mesmo tempo, há muita investigação contemporânea sobre como os mecanismos participativos podem alcançar os seus objetivos nas questões urbanas. Bom, esses mecanismos são conhecidos como inovações democráticas. Talvez a definição mais consensual seja a de Smith, mas há muita discussão sobre isso. Inovações democráticas são instituições especificamente desenhadas para aumentar e aprofundar a participação dos cidadãos nos processos de decisão política, e exemplos são, como já foi falado, o orçamento participativo, as assembleias cidadãs, parcerias público-comuns, conselhos gestores de políticas públicas, conferências temáticas, no caso do Brasil, né? E os principais objetivos da participação através desses mecanismos são promover a inclusão, promover a transferência de poder para as pessoas, a distribuição de justiça social e socioespacial e a construção de relações de confiança. Bom, a literatura indica que a eficácia da participação ela surge da interação entre dois fatores principais, que um é um desenho institucional, que estabelece as normas e os procedimentos que determinam no que se participa, quem participa e como participa, ou seja, são as regras do jogo, e os elementos contextuais, quer dizer, por quem e em que contexto esse jogo é jogado, né? Que inclui questões culturais, capital social, vontade política, capacidade de implementação técnica, administrativa e financeira da gestão pública, e entender como a participação pode contribuir para esses objetivos requer examinar como ela é primeiramente desenhada, né? Então, esse trabalho ele é baseado numa revisão crítica de literatura e propõe o desenvolvimento de uma ferramenta, de uma estrutura de referência para analisar os desenhos institucionais de inovações democráticas, né? Essa estrutura, eu peço desculpa porque, pelo quadro, mas que não dá para ler muito, mas essa estrutura alinha os 4 objetivos da participação com 3 dimensões do desenho institucional, que é no que se participa, como se participa e quem participa, e organiza 12 variáveis de análise, cada uma com 4 subvariáveis. Algumas são medidas do menos para o mais impactante, enquanto outras são por agregação. Essas variáveis são os objetivos da participação, o tipo de organização da iniciativa, o nível de partilha de poder, o caráter decisório, o modo de interação, tipo de benefício, qualidade do processo, sustentabilidade, qualidade da comunicação, pluralidade e uso de ações afirmativas para incluir grupos subrepresentados e critérios de seleção. Embora todas essas variáveis possam contribuir para todos os objetivos de participação, elas estão organizadas de acordo com seu maior impacto potencial, conforme sugerido pela literatura. Então, essa é a proposta gráfica da ferramenta, é um gráfico radar, e para ilustrar a utilização, eu vou apresentar uma análise comparativa qualitativa que foi feita de 3 tipos de inovações democráticas, que é o orçamento participativo, as assembleias de cidadãos pelo clima e parcerias público-comum em 3 cidades, que são, na verdade, são cidades popstar, assim, Barcelona, Bolonha e Lisboa. Foi usado um software de dados, de análise de dados qualitativos, MaxQDA, e para representar graficamente os resultados, eu usei o site de visualização de dados Storytelling Flourish. Então, aqui o último orçamento participativo nas 3 cidades sobrepostos. Foram incluídas, na análise, foram incluídas apenas as intenções manifestamente expressas nas leis e regulamentos. Ou seja, se aconteceu, mas não estava intencionalmente lá nas regras do jogo, não foi analisado, né? Então, as assembleias cidadãs pelo clima. Eu não vou entrar em detalhes sobre os resultados da comparação, isso foi feito num outro trabalho. O objetivo aqui é demonstrar como, através desse quadro, nós podemos identificar os campos com maiores fragilidades e melhorar ou fazer outras escolhas de desenho. E parcerias público-comum. Aqui todas as 3 sobrepostas, né? Nós vemos os campos que não estão preenchidos, que apresentam as maiores fragilidades, que é onde a gente pode melhorar a capacidade de desenho. E aí todas sobrepostas. Aqui o objetivo não é avaliar o resultado da comparação, mas a gente pode ver que o campo em branco, por exemplo, são os esforços de inclusão, né? Nós sabemos que é o gargalo da participação, o maior gargalo da participação é a inclusão. Então, esse trabalho ele tem por objetivo orientar as escolhas do desenho institucional, entender as variáveis que definem as regras do jogo, facilitar a aprendizagem e transferência de conhecimento de uma inovação democrática para outra, assim como de um contexto para o outro, assim como de uma cidade para outra. Relacionar o desenho institucional com o uso que se faz dele e com os resultados. E ela permite aos formuladores de políticas e planeadores fazer escolhas de desenho institucional alinhadas aos seus objetivos e contexto. Para os técnicos municipais, é uma ferramenta útil para analisar e ajustar processos participativos, identificar lacunas na inclusão, melhorar a comunicação com os cidadãos, por exemplo. Ela também serve como um recurso para cidadãos, ativistas e organizações da sociedade civil, possibilitando renegociar essas variáveis, renegociar essas regras e parâmetros que limitam os objetivos da participação e forçar para que o desenho seja melhor e conquistar maior poder decisório. E contribui também facilitando a avaliação e comparação das inovações democráticas. Então, esse trabalho reconhece que as inovações democráticas são fortemente dependentes de contexto e, portanto, é necessário que futuras pesquisas continuem a explorar a relação entre o desenho institucional e a sua utilização, ou seja, a interação com as variáveis contextuais. Também é importante mencionar que esse é um quadro que se pretende aberto, sujeito a contribuições e transformações, acompanhando os avanços no campo da pesquisa comparada sobre inovações democráticas. E, finalmente, espera-se que possa contribuir e apoiar cidades na construção de estruturas de participação direta da sociedade civil no planeamento e gestão urbana que operem de forma regular e democrática. Esse é um indicador do Objetivo de Desenvolvimento Sustentável 11, Cidades e Comunidades Sustentáveis, que esteve agora prestes a cair, teve uma campanha assim, de recolha de dados para esses indicadores. Para manter esse indicador, ele teve prestes a cair por falta de dados, mas mais mesmo do que por falta de dados, por falta dessas estruturas realmente. E acabou. Obrigada.
Obrigada. Obrigada, Isabella, pelo desafio de medirmos melhor as nossas políticas e participação. Peço agora a intervenção de Lyndsay e Gavin, vem do Departamento de Inovação do município de Durham, e vai apresentar-nos um projeto sobre a redução do desperdício de comida e compostagem ao nível comunitário. Obrigada.
My name is Lyndsay Gavin, and I am the Innovation Manager for the City of Durham in North Carolina in the States. And I am going to talk a little bit today about our curbside food waste program that we have been designing and how we've been centering community voices to reduce food waste. So why food waste to begin with? So in the US, about 133 billion pounds of food waste is put in landfill every year. This has some pretty severe consequences, especially for Durham, where we live. Economically, it costs about twice as much for food to be hauled to landfill as it would for it to be composted on site. There are environmental consequences, kind of the theme of this panel. So food waste decomposing in a landfill produces methane, greenhouse gases. We want to reduce that. And then finally, there are some social consequences to this as well. Like many places in the US, our landfills are often sited in lower income communities, communities of color. So the people who actually feel sort of the health impacts of living near a landfill are often our most vulnerable folks. We know that almost a third of our waste stream in Durham is food or paper waste and could be composted, but we don't have, or didn't before this started, have real programs to handle that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what participatory design looks like on the ground as I talk about designing a curbside food waste program. So meaning we get our garbage collected at our houses every week, our recycling collected every other week, but what we're looking to do is to have residents separate out their food and paper waste and have that be collected separately every week. So I will talk about sort of the stages that we've gone through thus far, which are exploring, prototyping, piloting, and then finally evaluating the impact of this program. And probably what's most relevant to folks in this room is the use of participatory design in every stage. So this resident feedback loop has been very central to how we've designed this program. In each stage, we've done surveys, interviews, collected data, and given residents feedback so that we can iterate the program to be even better in the next stage. So we began with general exploration. We launched a citywide survey asking people who didn't already compost at home, what would make you separate your food waste and compost? And the top 3 answers that we got were if someone picked up the food waste from my house, if I had an outdoor bin or cart, and if it was easier. So we took that into our design of what this program might look like. We also did in-depth interviews with other cities who have similar programs. And importantly, we held focus groups and did observations with our collection staff. So it's one thing to sort of involve your residents in design of programs, but it's also really important to involve staff and the people who will actually be carrying out the program in the design phase. We next moved on to a prototyping phase, very small. We selected 20 households, and we very intentionally selected these households for various race and ethnicity, family size, gender, religion, demographics, so that we could get a really holistic picture of how different people are experiencing the program. We provided them sort of a minimum viable product version of what the program would look like. So they got a countertop bin to separate their food waste into. And then we as staff and researchers actually went out and collected their food scraps every week. We looked through them to see what kind of contaminants were in there, what might be confusing about the materials that we gave them. And then we did in-depth interviews with everyone in the 20-person group. All of that went into informing our next stage, which was piloting. So we piloted the program in a specific neighborhood with 85 households for 6 weeks. And we used surveys again to sort of measure how people were feeling, what their feedback was regarding the program. We iterated all of our educational materials. We tested a couple of different countertop bins and a couple of different curbside carts to get people's feedback on how they felt about those. And we asked people just qualitatively about how much garbage they were producing every week, and found just in the 6 weeks about a quarter less garbage bag per week on average for households. But one really exciting thing that we found was that we had very little contamination this time around. And that kind of points to iterating some of those educational materials from that first round into the second round. We also found that people were starting to show after the 6 weeks a slightly higher pro-environmental identity. They felt more like environmentally friendly consumers. And so that's something that we explored again in the next round. We lastly did an evaluation. So we ran a randomized controlled trial where we took 360 households in the city, and we gave half of them the full-scale version of the program with the countertop bins and the carts and collection every week. And the other half of them, we said, we will give the program to you in 12 weeks. But for that first 12 weeks, we were comparing those who had the program, our treatment group, to those who didn't, our control group. And we had scales on board all of the garbage trucks to actually measure how much waste everyone was sending to landfill every week. We also, again, did surveys to get more qualitative feedback. Once fully modeled, we did find about a 10% reduction in trash going to the landfill from those who had the program. Remember, our cap, we think, is about 30%, but 10% in just the first 12 weeks was still a very positive finding for us. But some of the other findings that might be even more interesting to this group who are interested in participatory design and how on-the-ground programs relate to that is that people who got the program felt more strongly that their opinions were valued by their city. They felt more involved in city decision-making, which is a really positive outcome. We also, I mentioned this in the piloting stage, but in this stage again found that people who got the program had a stronger pro-environmental identity. And I'm a behavioral scientist, so one thing that we really wanted to look at was this idea of spillover behaviors. So if you start composting your food waste, having a stronger pro-environmental identity, will that behavior translate into other sort of pro-environmental actions, like using less water, consuming less meat, those kinds of things? We have found some evidence of that, but mostly evidence that people think they are doing all of those things a little bit better. Concrete measurement is a little bit less certain. And a final one that's not up here is we saw no reduction in trust of local government between folks who were getting this new program and people who weren't. And that's really important because oftentimes when you're rolling out something new, there are mistakes are made and people tend to lose a little bit of trust in the service of their local government. We did not find that in our randomized control trial. So just a couple of takeaways. I've talked here about phased rollouts. We're rolling this program out a little bit larger now, but really starting small and growing has helped us address not only logistical issues for our collection staff, but also programmatic challenges like iterating our educational materials before we maybe send out a version that's confusing for people. Partnerships, we've partnered with a research lab at Duke University and funders through the Environmental Research and Education Foundation. That has really fostered this data-driven decision-making as we create this program. And then, again, probably most relevant to folks in here, participatory design can make programs more sustainable and more equitable. I think we sometimes think about participatory design as something that's used for voting or for participatory budgeting, but I would also like to posit that sort of these on-the-ground, seemingly plain programs can also really benefit from a lot of resident feedback and incorporating that feedback loop. Thank you.
Obrigado, Lyndsay, pela partilha e pelo envolvimento que se percebe que depois tem efeitos noutros comportamentos. Eu não sei se temos questões do público, podemos ainda dispor de um pouco de debate e de partilha de ideias, enquanto aguardo para o caso de haver alguma inscrição. Já temos uma, mas vou só começar por duas perguntas muito rápidas. Uma é para o Oliver e a outra para a Sabrina. Para o Oliver pergunto se é possível dar-nos alguma noção da participação por idades, uma vez que, como referiu, os adultos também gostam de jogar e, no fundo, de que forma esse impacto foi sentido. E para a Sabrina, referiu uma nuance nos resultados relativamente às escolas privadas e públicas. A minha questão é se conseguiu perceber se é um trabalho das escolas em si ou do contexto de partida dos jovens que foram inquiridos. Não sei, podemos começar pelo Oliver, que foi a primeira questão que fiz, talvez.
Okay, yes. Well, if I don't get wrong, the question is about how was the impact of that gaming?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, we know...
By ages, sorry. But if there are any differences, if it is possible to know the results by different ages of participation?
We don't have that data here.
Okay.
I'm sorry. But it's true because we put that on practice during a process of 6 months. And it was also, we put like 2 actors that were, it was kind of fun because they were, one was like the good one and the other one was the bad. So when we were going to schools to explain the gaming of this video game, there was first theatrical explanation of who was the good habits for sustainable goals and the bad habits, okay? So they had an example on how they have to do good things for the community and bad. So when we were developing that explanation, we made also participants the children, right? And it's true that when we addressed to children of primary school, they had more freedom to explain in basic words how was for them, for example, or how important was for them the selection of garbage. And for older youngsters, they explained how difficult it was to understand what was the meaning of putting things in each garbage can. Okay, so I don't know, but I don't have any data of how was the impact. I'm sorry, but I can tell you that it was nice to see how the involvement of the whole families. When you were on, we have 3 or 4 parks at the city, and it was kind of fun to see how the parents were also participants of this video game with their children. I think that was the most important thing, because it became something important not only for the children but for everyone. And during those 6 months, everyone was talking about the game or the video game that the city was putting on practice for everyone.
Thank you. Sabrina, acerca das escolas.
Should I answer in English or in Portuguese?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll do it in English then. You hear me? Yeah. So it's very hard to say to reply to your question because there were only 2 private schools that were part of this research. I don't think that 2 private schools would be as representative as we would want to make some, like general findings. But one of them was in Azores in Ponta Delgada and the other one in the municipality of Seixal, so the metropolitan area of Lisbon. And all of them the survey was run from the 9-year-old to the 19-year-old. So I don't think that there would be one program in that school specifically that would justify a higher percentage of responses in the environment category. So essentially, it's very hard to make that assumption, being 2 schools. But in general, there's a 8% difference. So that's something that definitely shows us that there's some underlying issues there with obviously children who at home don't necessarily have the basics and they feel unsafe about the future because their parents are unemployed, for example, and they see their parents and their family struggling. They live in a community that is disadvantaged or marginalized. So essentially, they probably, their hot topic is not, like plastic waste, recycling, or composting. They're probably more worried about what am I going to eat tomorrow? Am I going to be able to afford, school materials and things like that? So I think that this is something that we should definitely look into. But this research, it was just 1-year research, 23 schools.
And will go on.
It will go on for the next years, definitely. Yes.
Thank you. Penso que tínhamos uma inscrição. Temos microfone, creio. Peço desculpa, temos um micro disponível para... Sim, aqui. A senhora, há uma inscrição ali. Obrigada.
Merci beaucoup, madame.
Merci.
Je m'excuse, je suis venu en retard. Je me représente encore, honorable Simon Moulamba, de la République démocratique du Congo. Je n'ai pas suivi les premières interventions, mais c'est un domaine extrêmement très sensible et très important, le sujet que vous avez abordé de l'écosystème, et qui touche tout le monde. Les pauvres, les riches, personne n'est épargné par l'écosystème. Nous sommes dans un pays tropical qui connaît beaucoup de problèmes de l'environnement. Au même moment, la société civile et la communauté internationale nous demandent de protéger le monde, puisque nous avons la capacité de protéger le monde par la forêt dense. Je crois après le Brésil, c'est notre pays, la République démocratique du Congo. Et en même temps, on nous interdit de couper les arbres, puisque les arbres, chez nous, constituent une source de revenus pour les villageois. Ils vivent qu'avec ces arbres-là. Ils coupent le bois pour le chauffage, ils coupent le bois pour le vendre. Mais on ne voit pas les retombées. Quand on le prive de couper le bois et on le prive des ressources. Quand vous arrivez dans le centre-ville, il y a des déchets, des immondices. Et Kinshasa aujourd'hui est compté parmi les villes où il y a plus d'immondices. Et les techniques qu'on a développées tout à l'heure, ça pouvait être expérimenté à Kinshasa. Il y a beaucoup de résidus, il y a des déchets qui sont en désordre, qui ne sont pas recyclés. Et la République démocratique du Congo a des tourbières qui protègent le monde. Nous avons des eaux qu'on demande de partager aux autres. Et je me demande le lobbying que la société civile est en train de faire pour protéger l'environnement. Nous avons une nappe pétrolière qu'on nous interdit même d'exploiter le pétrole par la société civile et par les grandes nations. Et pourtant, ça constitue une source de recettes pour financer le recyclage des immondices qui sont dans des cités. Et on nous interdit. Et cette question que je pose, c'est à tous les participants et non aux intervenants. Ce n'est pas une question, mais c'est le plaidoyer. Que les sociétés civiles, les groupes de pression qui sont dans cette salle, puissent aussi plaider pour le financement des pays qui protègent le monde. Aujourd'hui, en Afrique du Sud, pour la première fois, ça neigeait et jusqu'à moins 10, moins 15, on a perdu même des vies humaines. Et partout, en Afrique aussi, vous avez suivi, il y a des inondations, ce n'est pas non seulement en Afrique, mais partout, au Canada, aux États-Unis. Et c'est là la cause, c'est l'écosystème, c'est le changement climatique. Plus vous négligez de financer le pays qui protège le monde, plus la situation climatique devient dangereuse pour le monde entier, puisque la population est obligée de se protéger. Il va se protéger comment? Vous refusez de couper les arbres, mais il est obligé de couper les arbres. Entre-temps, il coupe les arbres, il n'y a pas le financement pour le reboisement. Donc voilà, c'est l'interpellation que je suis en train de faire et le plaidoyer pour toute l'assistance et ceux qui ont des possibilités de s'intéresser à la RDC pour le financement dans l'écosystème qui les fasse définir.
Merci pour votre partage. C'est plus une réflexion, pas nécessairement une question. Et merci bien pour votre intervention. Vous voulez répondre?
Oui, je vais juste... merci beaucoup pour votre commentaire, monsieur, qui est très, très pertinent. Et je pense que je vais juste rajouter quelque chose de très, très bref. Mais hier, on parlait de menaces à nos démocraties. Et on a beaucoup parlé de fake news, on a beaucoup parlé même de l'intelligence artificielle, etc. Mais surtout, l'augmentation des inégalités et le système néolibéraliste est aussi une grande menace aux démocraties et au changement climatique. Donc, merci beaucoup pour votre commentaire qui était très, très pertinent.
Não sei se há mais alguma inscrição para alguma questão dirigida aos oradores, algum esclarecimento adicional em relação às questões. Nesse caso, não havendo mais questões, farei mais uma pergunta. No caso, dirigindo-me à Lyndsay, em relação aos resultados, está prevista alguma etapa, algum passo suplementar agora em relação ao projeto, uma vez que ele foi crescendo? Quais são os próximos passos? No fundo, nos pode falar, olhar já um pouco mais para o futuro.
Yes. So right now, once we provide the program for households, we never want to take it away. So we want people to start having an ingrained behavior. So we have about 480 households right now that are receiving service. But our garbage collection team services about 90,000 households. So we still have a long way to grow. Our next phase will be to service about 1,000 to 1,500 households. We're going to try to do a similar randomized control trial by different lines. But we do need a good bit of capital funding to expand our actual processing site. So it's a little bit of we'll grow a little, and then we'll hopefully have that funding, expand our processing site, and then grow some more, and hoping to continue to grow this until it's across the city. And also, we really want to keep it a free service for residents so that it's not just for people who can afford to pay a fee.
Não sei se, entretanto, há da parte do público mais alguma inscrição ou participação. Julgo que... temos uma questão, então provavelmente será a última que estamos com o tempo a terminar. Vamos aproveitá-la.
Bom dia, obrigado. Minha pergunta é para a Isabella. Eu percebi que nos seus estudos, Isabella, eu acho que é uma questão também da minha vida como gestor público, né? Que tem muitos espaços institucionais de participação, né? E mesmo nesses espaços, por mais qualificados que sejam, eles têm uma limitação quando se chega na tomada de decisão, né? Eu vi alguns gráficos, a gente passou um pouco rápido assim, mas eu vi que tinha que o instrumento participativo ele se aproximava da tomada de decisão. Então, por exemplo, no orçamento participativo, quando se debate propostas de políticas públicas, mas na hora de ter uma devolutiva concreta, às vezes não se aproxima, né? Não se tem uma devolutiva daquilo que foi reivindicado de uma demanda, né? Ou quando esbarra na estratégia governamental e aí o que foi deliberado, vamos dizer assim, por esse espaço participativo, ele não está de acordo, alinhado com uma tomada de governo que já foi decidida antes, né? Então, se puder falar um pouquinho sobre isso, não sei se foi claro, mas nessa situação. Obrigado.
Felipe, né? Tá funcionando. Obrigada pela pergunta. Sim, é super pertinente. Você falou no exemplo do orçamento participativo, né? E aqui a gente está falando de desenho institucional. Você viu eu vou agora expor os casos porque são bons para ilustrar, né? Entre Barcelona, Bolonha e Lisboa. Então, primeiro, o orçamento participativo ele já tem um maior potencial de transferência de poder de decisão, porque ele tem o orçamento, né, tem fundos, e depois ele tem vinculante, né? Teoricamente, os municípios são obrigados a implementar ou assumem o compromisso de implementar os projetos. Mas uma diferença brutal, por exemplo, entre Barcelona e Lisboa, nem vou colocar Bolonha, é que as equipas promotoras... Barcelona tem uma infraestrutura, e aí são várias questões de desenho, por exemplo, ali na questão da sustentabilidade, né? Se você tem recursos técnico-administrativos financeiros para acompanhar todo o processo. Barcelona tem uma estrutura forte para isso, e os proponentes têm um sistema de prestação de contas e de acompanhamento, assim, muito sólido e muito consistente. Isso é uma escolha de desenho, é uma escolha política, a transparência e a prestação de contas. E as pessoas que propõem o orçamento participativo, elas acompanham até o final, acompanham a execução. Existe uma comissão de acompanhamento, e isso é uma escolha política, é uma escolha de desenho. Então, por isso, o orçamento participativo de Barcelona tem um melhor desenho do que o de Lisboa. No de Lisboa, as pessoas entregam, propõem, é votado, aquilo vai para a Câmara, daí já vai para a Câmara, as pessoas perdem total controle sobre aquilo. E depois, por exemplo, outra questão de desenho curiosa, no caso de Lisboa, diz que, afinal, a decisão se vai ser implementada, se não vai ser implementado, é do vereador em funções. Então, quer dizer, já compromete o poder decisório da população. Então, são escolhas, está relacionado a escolhas. Por isso que eu acho importante defender, eu defendo a institucionalização. Mas a institucionalização, por si só, a gente sabe que ela não garante a qualidade da participação. Só que é o que nós temos de momento, né? Tentar garantir isso, institucionalizar essas escolhas, melhores escolhas. Não sei se eu respondi a sua pergunta. Agradeço.
No fundo, estamos sempre a falar da dificuldade, muitas vezes, entre os princípios ou os objetivos de promover a participação, mas depois a dificuldade de implantar na prática mecanismos que efetivem essa possibilidade de participação. Eu agradeço a todo o painel a participação e as partilhas. Com certeza que uma das vantagens será podermos todos, conhecendo experiências, perceber como, de forma por vezes até simples e não muito cara, poderemos introduzir mudanças nas nossas cidades que promovam uma maior participação. Obrigada a todos também na plateia e a continuação de bons trabalhos nestes dias aqui em Valongo. Obrigada.